What's going on, guys? Are we live? I think so. Somebody confirmed for me that we're live and y'all can hear me. Brian, if you're Farron, if you're around, help me out. What's up? That's good. Hi. Yes, we are. Awesome. Good deal. Well, it's good to be here, guys. Thanks for joining us. I will admit that my nerves are a little high because we have more people on this stream than we have ever had, by a long shot. So that's super exciting. Thanks to everybody for being here. It's going to be a long stream. It's going to be a good stream. We got a lot of history to go through and a lot of story to tell. So I'm going to just hang out for a few minutes here while people are showing up. So it'll probably take just a few minutes to do that, and then we'll dive right into it. So it's open game for questions at this point. Obviously, we got a lot of comments coming in, so keeping track of them is going to be a little difficult. But thank you all for being here, and I'm excited to go through some LaunchBox history with you. And we do have that giveaway coming at the end. Just so you guys know. Since you guys are live here, you will have a much higher chance to win a license today. The people that are here in the stream will have a much bigger chance to win a license. We're going to give at least the plan, depending on how many people are in the stream. The plan is to give half of the licenses away to people who are actually in the stream, and half of the licenses away to people who are watching the video later on for the following week. So that's the plan for the giveaway, in case anybody is curious. But that's not going to be till the end, so it'll be a while before we get there. So that's all I'm going to reveal about the giveaway. So no reason to ask any more questions there. But if you have any other interesting questions for me that I can catch, I'm more than willing to answer them. Love to see a list of RetroArch cores emulators matched against LaunchBox systems. Okay, so we do have some defaults, and honestly, we favor RetroArch for most things. There are a few platforms where that's not the case, but yeah, thank you guys for all the support. It's almost overwhelming. Just watching the chat as you guys were all, prepping for this and waiting for this, I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, that is an electronic Roland drum kit behind me. My son plays drums, and I play drums, but my main instrument is guitar, and so we have fun in this room. I think I did a tour video of this room, of my office, and it's pretty incredible. I didn't even introduce myself. By the way, I am Jason Carr. I know a lot of people think that Jamin ETA Prime is the owner of LaunchBox and the creator of LaunchBox because he's in so many of the videos. But I'm the original creator, and I'm still developing to this day. A little bit less so, but I'm still developing on the project today. So just so you guys are aware of who I am, been around here for since the beginning. Thank you, El Chavo. Any plans on extending the media video side of LaunchBox? So there are a lot of complications in that. Assuming you're asking us to like put videos up on the games database of gameplay. We don't currently have any plans to do that, no. There's just a lot of legal complications there, and I guess less so these days than we used to have, but, it is what it is. It's also a lot more costly to host videos. For a new Steam Deck user, should I create a new partition for installing LaunchBox? I assume you're referring to installing Windows on your Steam Deck, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I have not had a lot of experience with Windows on the Steam Deck because I installed it early on to play with it, and honestly, it was trash, unfortunately. I know the Steam Deck and Linux is a big thing, and yes, we would love to be on Linux. Just to clarify that, because I know we're going to get a lot of feedback on that. We would love to be on Linux, and we're working on it. As a matter of fact, we have an opportunity that we are looking into right now that may enable us to be there, and we've been waiting for that opportunity for quite a long time. So that's exciting, but I can't promise anything yet because it's a long ways off. But we are hoping to get to Linux. Which software suite stack was used for developing LaunchBox? Microsoft Visual Studio. And we use C# and WPF for pretty much everything. And I still highly recommend the Microsoft stack over any other development tools. I mean, it's unfortunate that so much of it is Windows specific, but a lot of it isn't at this point. And the Microsoft has just been killing everybody else on development tools, really since the beginning, since they started. So the stream will probably, I don't know how long the stream's going to be. I'll be honest, I don't have any idea. It'll probably be around a couple hours. It's going to be a long stream because we got a lot of stuff to go over. I want to go over the entire history of LaunchBox, and it's a lot. I have a script because I can't remember it all. So we'll go through that. As a matter of fact, I think it's about time for us to go ahead and get started on that. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here, and let's do it. So ultimately, we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary, and I do want you guys to know that honestly, this project has been arguably the biggest blessing of my entire life, and not just of my life, but also of like the other people on staff. We have 5 of us at this point, and we're growing. So it's really pretty incredible. All the things that have taken off from this project, it's just unbelievable. And I have you guys to thank for that. So I got to start with everything just saying thank you here. But I thought it might be time to go through the history of everything LaunchBox and how it's progressed and really dive into how things happened. I do want to clarify a few things. I will be randomly looking at comments throughout, but honestly, this is completely different than I've ever dealt with before because there's so many people here. So obviously I won't be able to do all the comments. I apologize for that. We do have Farron here. I'm gonna mess it up and call him Brian, but you guys know him as Farron. He's moderating stuff. So if you see a comment in the chat under Unbroken Software LLC, which is our business, that is Brian. That's not me. Just so you guys know what's going on, because I'm not going to be typing comments during the stream, but Brian is here. I would assume, at least from time to time. He's also going to be helping us moderate. But feel free to hop in and out as you guys need. The video will be going up live and full on YouTube after the fact. I think that'll be automatic eventually. If you do stick around to the end, we will be doing a license giveaway at the end of the stream, but that's going to be at the end, okay? If you are around today watching the stream, you will have a much better chance at winning the giveaway than people who just watch it at a later date. However, you do have the ability, basically we're going to give away half of the licenses tomorrow, and we're going to give away the other half in a week. So if you're here early, anytime today, you'll be able to have the better chance at winning the license. Folks who wait until later, subsequent days this week, will have a smaller chance, but still have a good chance of winning. So let's get started. I'm going to pull up a link here, if it lets me. There we go. This is a way back machine link, so it takes a little while to load, but I wanted to show off and start this whole thing by going through really the first version. And this was what it looked like on my personal website when it first came out. My tablet keeps, I should have changed the settings. There we go. Anyways, this is 1.1. The first initial release is right here. And we have just some screenshots. I suppose y'all can read that if you'd like. We go over the original features, relative paths, DOSBox and regular Windows games only at this point. You can sort and arrange and filter, and some DOSBox features. So this was the very beginning release. It wasn't anything really all that significant. I was using Defend Reloaded at the time. I'm not sure if anybody knows or remembers that front end, but that was a front end for only DOSBox. And I was using that at the time, and I really, the interface for that, it was a great app, but the interface was kind of not very good. And so I got the idea from GOG to put all the box art on a shelf, right? Because GOG's website, I think they still do this, but GOG's website back in the day was literally just a shelf, and they just put all the games that you purchased. Back then it was called Good Old Games, and it was all DOS games basically. But they put all of them on a shelf, and I got the idea to make it in an app. And so this was the first version that came out. And I had like, this was in 2013 that we released it. But a couple years earlier, I had half built a version of it, but I kind of lost interest and just abandoned it. I don't know if I ran into a problem, but I got the idea back literally 2 years later, and I built version 1.0 using that old code, and I just finished it out in a weekend. And it was really just a front end for DOSBox at this point, but literally in a couple days, I had a version out. I just dumped it on my blog, and I had no idea what was what was coming from that. But it was cool because it gradually took off, and we'll get to there in a second. But before I dive in a whole lot further, I really want to go over like where I was at that point in my life, because I think it's kind of cool to see the difference, and I think it might be encouraging to some of you guys. So at that point in my life, this was 2013, so 10 years ago, I was in a pretty unstable marriage at that point. I was just an absolute wreck. Now, I am still married to my wife, and I have an awesome marriage now, so just so you guys know that. But at that point, it was rocky. It was horrible. And it was just as much my fault, or more my fault, than it was my wife's. But I had just dropped out of college with 2 classes left. So I'm just trying to explain, where I was coming from at this point in time. I tried to go back to college, and I just hated it, and I couldn't stand it. I tried to do an online thing to try and finish my degree, and I ended up just giving up. I was a huge rebel at the time, just really a mess. I had some serious addiction issues. I had massive depression issues. I just didn't like who I was. I didn't like myself. I was just this huge mess. And the reason why I share that with you guys is because I want to give you guys hope, right? If there's any projects that you've got going on in your lives, this doesn't only happen to me, right? This story isn't something that only happens to anyone else, that doesn't happen to anyone else, that only happens to me. This is something that happens to lots of people. If they stick to something, they get a little bit of a win and they stick with it. This is the kind of thing that can happen. So I really wanted to start there so that you guys know where I'm coming from, because I am not the golden child. I'm not really even all that talented. Yeah, I'm talented, but I got there over the years, right? Back then I was pretty foolish. I was sad, and I really didn't have a whole lot of hope. I was a pretty big mess. So I hope that by going through this history, I hope I can encourage some of you guys to step out, have the courage to do something similar, and really just fight through some of those battles. But anyways, back to LaunchBox. After the release of 1.0, traffic started slow, but I ended up reaching out. But it came in, there was enough interest coming in that it made me want to try and grow it. And I ended up reaching out on some forums. The one that I remember was Vaugon's, and that one's still around. And it slowly started to pick up. And I got hate even back then for self publicity and all that junk. But I got like a couple hundred users, and that's it. But it was enough to make it worth developing for me. That was pretty significant for me to have a couple hundred users on something I had built. And I had my real job, my full-time job as a consultant I worked for consultant companies to build business applications, basically. But I just got so tired of doing that. But anyways, it really motivated me to hit the ground running, just having a couple hundred people. And so I kept developing it, and the audience kept growing, and I got all kinds of feedback. Now I know there's probably a couple people here at least that have been around this whole time. So I'm sure there's some people here that actually contributed to some of this feedback, but I just ate it up. Like, remember when I built this, it was literally for DOSBox only. And I was talking to my team a couple weeks ago or something like that. And the subject came up of like how much of this app was actually my idea. And it was probably, I mean, at this point, it's probably like 1% of the app was actually my idea at this point. Almost all the ideas came from you guys. And so early on, I ended up adding like backgrounds and importing from other front ends and Steam importing. I added the additional applications thing, which has been in since almost the first few versions. I added console emulation. I added, all these filter features, controller support, and a lot more. And really all of that stuff, not all of it, but the vast majority of it came from the community. And then this is where it gets a little interesting. In 2014, I started the YouTube channel on April 1st. So this was, I don't know, something like, a little over 6 months in, something like that. Maybe like 8 months in. I'm just gonna play this so you guys know how awkward we started, just for a few seconds here.
Yo, folks, this is Jason Carr, the developer of LaunchBox again.
Can you guys hear the video?
Come at you with a quick demo of LaunchBox and just some of the basic features, and just to show everybody what it is and get them hopefully hooked. So here's the LaunchBox icon down here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and I have a pre-configured LaunchBox here with a ton of games. Looks like 268 total. But this is the basic LaunchBox interface. You're looking at. So
I'm going to stop that there. By the way, I'm watching some comments, guys. Hey, if you're gonna start bashing on our products, we're gonna ban you. Just so you know, don't care, and I'm not gonna put up with it. Just so you know, like, it doesn't bother me. We get so much hate on that these days, but just so you know, saying the Android app sucks. Well, yeah, the Android app is earlier in development than the Windows app, so of course it's not. It's nowhere near where the Windows app is going to be because we've only been developing it for a couple years. Anyways, that is grounds for a ban. Just going on about how something here sucks or something there sucks. Just FYI. Well, anyways, let's move on from that. So that is the first video we put out, and get to the right spot here. So we started to get some serious traffic on the YouTube channel, believe it or not. YouTube has been our main traffic getter for the entire time that we have been a thing, right? It's not like we owe everything to YouTube, but all the other social media that we have had any part in has been kind of trash compared to YouTube. We've just got so much publicity from our own videos and from other creators on YouTube, it's been pretty incredible. So that's not a surprise, I don't think, by any of you guys, but I did want to mention that. It just really helped to boost the community and get some eyes on the project. And we got pretty large pretty quick. We got to the point where we had, thousands of users in 2014, and I was just loving it. I will admit, though, that my life got way too wrapped up in it, right? I had 3 little kids at that point, 2, 4, and 6 years old. I was working a full-time job. I was coming home, spending a few hours with the family, and then I was working again for at least a few hours on LaunchBox every single night. So I was working like 50 to 60 hour weeks on the project just endlessly, and weekends too. So it was probably, 65, 70 hour weeks for all I know. And I was really enjoying it, but eventually it did get to the point where it was pretty obvious that I was not going to be able to do it forever. And I really needed to be able to monetize it because everything was free at this point. There was nothing, we weren't making any money at all. And yet I was spending a good, 20 hours a week on it. And it was a little bit of a hard time. It was a good time because it was really cool because I was just finally having an impact, I felt like, in my life, But it was a little rough because everything was so busy. So I remember quite a few people in the community that were fairly prominent on the forums, and they, and we got a lot of feedback positively when we went to a paid version, and negatively, and that was kind of the first big bit of drama that I felt like I had to deal with, was going through the transition from a free product only to a paid product. And you guys know that we're still a free product. We have a version out there that's free, and we try and put as much into that version as we can. And honestly, that shareware model has been really, really good to us. But ultimately, we had to convert it into a paid product, or it just wouldn't have existed, right? We wouldn't be anywhere near where it is now, and it wouldn't have happened. And originally, we tried to take donations, and I think we probably got maybe 20 small donations total over months. So I tried the donation thing, and it really didn't work out too well. And we ended up charging licenses for the premium version. We were only on Windows at this point, and that was honestly game changing, because all of a sudden we had a decent amount of money coming in, and I was able to spend money on things like software licenses for like the tools that we need inside of the app for development and all that kind of thing. So, and then on December 15th, 2014, the first paid version was out. We had this new color theme stuff that was all brand new. So I'm going to play just a tiny bit of this video so you guys get a concept of what that was looking like in December of 2014. So really, this is a year and a half into the project, and this is where we were.
Hello everybody, this is Jason Carr, the developer of LaunchBox again. So LaunchBox 4.0 just came out, and with it comes the option to pay $10 for some premium features. Now the idea of the premium version is to make it only for extra customization features. We want the free version of LaunchBox to stay fully functional and pretty much nag free.
I still sound like I'm in pain or something. I don't understand why my voice was so nasally in this video. But anyways, that's not my favorite video to watch, I'll tell you that. All right, but we started to get some serious traffic at this point on YouTube. I'm reading through my notes here. There we are. So ultimately, at this point, if you chose to purchase the premium version, it was only $10. You barely got any features. Like those color themes were one of the only features that we had at that point. But people still wanted the premium version, and people still bought it. It was really just all about customization at that point. But it was enough to move things forward. I don't remember how much money I was making at that point. It certainly wasn't anywhere near even a part-time job, but it made it worthwhile, and it was obvious it was going to start growing. Oh man, so back then, I remember, and this is really stupid, but back then I remember I put a notification on my phone that was a coin dropping, and anytime anybody bought the app, I would let that stupid notification go off, and or I would have that stupid notification go off. So I'd be walking around doing whatever I'm doing, and I'd get a purchase, and I'd smile. The annoying thing about that is people start to realize what it actually is, like in your family and stuff, and then it just turns obnoxious. But that was funny because it was so new to me that I thought it worthwhile to know when somebody paid $10, and I was probably getting like 2 or 3 purchases a day at that point. But anyways, I did turn that off pretty quickly. Thankfully, I had to because they started coming in faster and faster and faster. But anyways, I kept working on LaunchBox, right? The number one request for a very, very long time was build us a home theater interface, right? And so you guys know where this is going. And I didn't believe that I could build something like that at this point. I thought it was a miracle that I managed to build LaunchBox itself, right? And if you look at the LaunchBox interface, it's a little bit pretty. So this is the interface we got, right? Really, it was just some custom theming on top of Windows Forms, which is an old school Microsoft technology for building business apps, right? And it was never big and flashy, and there's not a whole lot you can do with Windows Forms. So I didn't really have any idea like what tools should be used to build something like a home theater interface. I just knew that we needed it, and I knew it would be a big deal if we did. You can't build that in Windows Forms. So I was just praying. I didn't know what on earth I could do to make that happen. But I was praying like every single day on this project that I could bring in enough money to turn it into a full-time job, that I'd be able to have enough talent to actually build what I needed to build, and that I would find the right technologies to do it, because obviously I wasn't going to build it from scratch. And you got to remember, I was still dealing with like massive depression issues at this point in my life. Like it was bad. But I had this fire in me. I was super excited about it because I selfishly just wanted to be that guy that built a software product as his job for the community. And that had actually been a dream of mine since I was like 12, when I started development. So that was a big deal for me. But anyways, I prayed every single day on this project, right? And slowly, I started learning a technology called WPF. Now, WPF, as you guys know, is the theming engine that we use for Big Box, and it's the theming engine that we use for LaunchBox at this point. So this is when WPF entered the picture. And I didn't know it at all, but it's a Microsoft technology that's still going strong, and we're still using it for both LaunchBox and Big Box. So then on August 13th, 2015, which is close to the 2-year mark, we released the first version of I released the first version of Big Box. I was only one strong at this point, although the community was behind me. And I think I was also doing live streams at this point. So let me pull that up so you guys can see what that looked like. There we go. And this is again the Wayback Machine. So hopefully all the images load. We had this ugly pop-up, which I'm sure nobody liked. There we go. So we're missing, this was a YouTube video up here, but this was what it looked like, what the first version of Big Box looked like. This was the only view, basically. We probably had a platform view that looked similar. Here's some more pictures. Yeah, here's the platform view. But this is it. This is the only thing we had. The funny thing is though, if you've been paying attention, the old default theme that we had in Big Box up until very recently still was pretty much just this, right? So we built the Big Box new default theme thanks to Farron. Farron built that, designed that, and built that theme to replace this just like a year ago or something like that. But this really stuck around for a while. But this was the first release of Big Box, and it's okay. It's not great, but it is. I mean, it's a home theater interface. It's not too grotesque, so I'm proud of this. We put out a 1.0 release of Big Box that was actually kind of impressive. So that's kind of cool. Thank you guys for all the support. I really appreciate it. I am checking the comments here, here and there, and yeah, it looked good even then. I agree. It did. It looked decent. It doesn't even come close to comparing to what we have now, but it was a good start. So that was August 2015, and the feedback just came in droves once we built this. It just came and came and came and came and came. And I was still busting my butt, working 11-hour days, and I was tired, but I was driven. Once we had done this, I started to actually believe in myself, like I could actually maybe do this. Maybe I could actually spearhead this project and take it somewhere cool. So that was exciting. But I was starting to get a little bit of a big head at this point. Once I had achieved this, on my own, with the community's help for ideas, but on my own, I ended up building this myself, right? I got a pretty big head. I thought I was some kind of special, and people were eating it up, right? So that's just a foreshadowing of some future events here. But just so you guys know, I've had my own issues with pride and battles with pride and all that stuff over the years, and that'll come up here very soon. And then in September of 2015, so a few months later, I built this tutorial video on RetroArch. And the reason why this is significant is because this literally blew us up. If you look at this video, it has 450,000 views, which was absolutely insane for us at the time. This was just nuts. And for years early on, if you searched RetroArch on YouTube, this was the #1 video that you found, which was incredible because basically the point of this video was to give you a RetroArch tutorial, get you set up in RetroArch at the time, and then show you how LaunchBox works with it, because it really was at the time and still is probably the easiest way to get up and running with RetroArch, to use LaunchBox, right? So that was the point. Here's LaunchBox. It makes RetroArch easy. So you'd search RetroArch on YouTube and you would end up finding out about LaunchBox, right? So big deal. New UI is great. I really like it. That's so great to hear. Thank you. I'm not sure why I don't have your name there, but thank you for that. That was also designed by none other than Farron, who's in this chat. He's helping with moderation right now. So anyways, the RetroArch tutorial, I'm going to show you just a few minutes of this dumb video, which again, I'm not overly proud of, but it got 450,000 views and blew us up. So here we go.
Hello everybody, this is Jason Carr once again coming to you from the Unbroken Software Studio. And today we're going to take a look at RetroArch, but specifically how...
Oh yes, I called it RetroArch the entire video. And I still catch myself calling it RetroArch, by the way. And I know that's like a thing of contention. There's a lot of people that call it RetroArch. And I even watched some people that called it RetroArch, so I just assumed it was RetroArch. Anyways.
Let's set up RetroArch as quickly and easily as possible. Now, historically, RetroArch's been kind of a pain to set up. It has gotten significantly easier lately, but it's still pretty far from what I would call an obvious process.
Anyways, nerdy and annoying, at least for me. But yeah, I get into everything in this video. And a lot of people really, got up and running with this video, but the truth is, unfortunately, that everything changed so much that it's a useless video at this point, which is probably good. You don't even need a tutorial anymore with LaunchBox and RetroArch, thankfully. But back in the day, wow, a lot of people came to LaunchBox because of this video. And this was truly, it was just a gift. It was a gift from the Lord. I mean, it was like, I still don't know why this video took off or why I had the idea. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it, but it was a gift and it took off the project. This was a huge win for us. So LaunchBox, the history for me is just a series of like bigger hits and bigger hits and bigger hits. Just such a blessing because it just kept taking off more and more and more and more. But this was the perfect storm because people would search on YouTube, they'd search for how to use RetroArch, and they discover LaunchBox, and LaunchBox really was the easiest way to use RetroArch, and then they'd be golden, right? So really the RetroArch video, it was the #1 video on YouTube when anybody searched RetroArch, and it stayed that way for well over a year. And so we had such a huge influx of users just from this video. So here I am, I'm thinking, well, hey, I can build software, I can make successful videos, I can manage a community because we had a pretty big successful forums going as well, all by myself, right? I was thinking, this is great. I'm flying pretty high, right? And the income is increasing. It's still not a full-time salary, but it's getting there. I'm still praying daily that it would get to a full-time salary, but I'm really starting to believe that, I'm pretty hot stuff at this point. I felt like nothing could stop me, right? And don't get in my way. I'm unstoppable. And those depression issues started to go away, but my pride just started to go through the roof, all right? And then in December of 2015, Simply Austin, I know you guys know Simply Austin, at least a lot of you guys know Simply Austin. He covered LaunchBox, right? And this video got nearly 200,000 views. You can see it's sitting at, well, it's 226,000 views now. That's cool. But we blew up again at this point, right? I'll play just a few seconds of this.
Good day, guys.
Good day, guys.
And today we're looking at LaunchBox. And
yeah.
Oh my God, is this a front end? Now you know that I bring the front ends to you, and
So obviously a pretty glaring review from Simply Austin, and this was a bigger blowing up at the time than the RetroArch video, because the RetroArch video got like views over time, but this was bam, here it is, all the views right away. And we owe a lot to Simply Austin because he blew us up. He was the very first YouTuber to blow us up for real. I would say that this may have actually doubled our traffic, doubled our user base when this video came out. So it was a huge win, and I can't thank him enough for that. And then finally on February 20th, 2016, I finally quit my day job, right? And I started working on LaunchBox full time. I'm going to pull up an email that I sent out at that point here. So this was 2016, and we've been sending out these newsletter videos for a very long time, but this was the newsletter that we sent out at that point. It says we're kicking it into high gear. This week, we primarily want to express our gratitude to the community for helping us bring LaunchBox to the masses. We've seen tremendous amounts of success, and LaunchBox just keeps on growing. For that, we are extremely thankful. I'm finally able to quit my day job, and I'm jumping on the development full time in less than a week. Believe it or not, LaunchBox has been primarily nights and weekends. Yeah. We're immensely excited to ramp up development and cover some new ground. So this was obviously monumental for me. It probably wasn't a huge deal for the community, but it ended up being a huge deal for the community because at this point, this was the point where my time that I could spend working on LaunchBox at least doubled, probably more. So it was just a tremendous transition at that point, because I was able to finally spend some more time with my family and also spend a lot more time on the project than I had ever previously been able to do. So that was just tremendous. But it also, it took some serious faith. It took some serious, it was a big risk. We were making, so at that point, I was making a full-time development salary from my full-time job, which wasn't insignificant. I was paid really well. And on top of that, I had all the LaunchBox funds coming in. And we had some loans that we had to pay off, but we were in really, really good shape financially because I had both of the jobs going, you know what I mean? So we were really, really blessed financially at that point. And it was kind of crazy how much money we had coming in. So my full-time job was making far more money though than LaunchBox was at that point. So we went from full-time job that's excellent pay plus LaunchBox pay down to only LaunchBox pay, and we were probably making like a third of what my family was making after that change. So you can understand how big of a deal that was for us. It was really difficult, but I was still praying. That's really what it comes down to. And I was trying to get advice from a bunch of people in my life, and I had a lot of pride and a lot of issues, but I felt like the Lord was telling me to quit. And the reason why I felt like the Lord was telling me to quit is because of the family situation. I really wasn't spending a whole lot of time with my family at that point because I couldn't, right? So the point of this was so I wasn't working 11 hours a day. So I had to fight that desire to work 11 hours a day on LaunchBox. And I worked hard at that. But honestly, the Lord really made it super easy for us because the income rose super quickly, and it was really pretty awesome. That said, shortly after I quit my full-time job, we ran into our first disaster. Now I've got a few disasters on my list here to share with you guys. I know that's what is the most interesting, so I hope nobody's fallen asleep here. But we have a few disasters to share with you guys that really were a big deal to me. Probably less of a big deal to the community. But we had our first oh crap moment shortly after I quit my full-time job. So we had been using the gamesdb.net for all our metadata and media downloads for a very long time. And it didn't look anything like this. This is the gamesdb.net, and it still exists. It's been revamped many, many times over. But at the time in 2016, this site was having horrible issues with downtime. Now, and it would go down for like weeks at a time, which was ultimately like a huge disaster for us because LaunchBox was using this only. I think we had EMI movies at that point. But this was the main source of media for a long time in LaunchBox was the GamesDB. And naturally, if the GamesDB went down, the gamesdb.net, if that went down, like LaunchBox was useless, right? So here I was, I had just quit my full-time job, and all of a sudden I had a useless product because of something out of my control, which ultimately happened. And y'all, I broke down. I literally I was a ball of stress, and I got depressed, and I was a mess. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really worried. A lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, right? And that said, somewhere in there, I ended up reaching out on Facebook to the fan page of the gamesdb.net, and praise the Lord, somehow I managed to get in touch with the owner of the site, and I sent him this huge frantic message asking, "Why is the site down? Why is the site down? Why is the site down?" And asking if there's anything I could do to help. and how much this is screwing us over and we're in so much trouble and all this stuff. I'm sure he thought I was nuts. I was insane, right? The guy must have just been really pissed off at me and super stressed out, because what he ended up telling me, I think he said something like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like he was thrown back by just some incredible, by all the crap that I was sharing, right? So, and ultimately, what he ended up telling me to do, he stuck with me despite the fact that he was just calling me out for being a freak. He told me that the license for all the content on the GamesDB.net was completely open. All right. And he literally just told me to make a copy of the site and all the media, not necessarily of the site, although I think I could have. He told me to take all the media and build our own website. And so ultimately that's what I did. I managed to download all of their stuff, and we made our own LaunchBox games database website. Now you know where that ended up, right? Because that's still up and running. That's still a thing. And it's still very important. But thankfully, because we had money behind the project, that's the key, guys. Because we had money behind the project, this poor guy running the GamesDB.net doesn't really have any money behind the project. He probably has some donations, but there's no. I know it's a money sink for him. At least it was back then. So because we had the funds, because of app sales, we could create a website that didn't ever go down ultimately. And so that's what we did. And it saved everything. And thankfully we were back up and running pretty quick. But I ended up building, by the way, I'm going to go to the games database here. This theme that we've got on the database, this site, literally hasn't changed in ages and since the beginning. And I ended up building this website in like 2 weeks. So it was, yeah, we're working on that. I'll just say that. We're working on that. But, so this all happened sometime between February and March 2016. And then on March 16th, March 5th, 2016, this site was released. So that's where we're at time-wise. I'm going to check on some comments here, because it's been a while since I've been in the comments. Hey, thank you, Dan. I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that. He says, your boldness with your Christian faith is inspiring. You even have Bible right there on the desk. I mean, that wasn't intentional, if I'm honest. But I appreciate it. So I'm going to get into that a little bit more, and I hope I don't upset anybody, because that's not my intention. But that's really integral. And I've been trying to share and be honest with you guys about like all the problems that I've dealt with, my personal issues and stuff. And we're going to get a lot deeper into that. I know some of you guys that have been around for some deeper longer term and know some of the history. You know some of the blunders we've made. And we're going to get into some of those blunders. And I'm going to talk about like how I got through them and everything, because there were some serious issues. So really, this is only beginning. The GamesDB.net being an issue was one of the smallest issues that we had, although I felt like the world was ending when it happened. But yeah, really, the story of LaunchBox is pretty heavily tied to me, because I'm the creator of it, but it's also pretty heavily tied to the Lord, because it would have never happened without the Lord, I'll tell you that. So we're getting there. I'm going to get into more of that later. But we had solved our first major disaster here. We came out with the games database, and that was a God thing, just like everything else. I mean, I'd never built a website in 2 weeks before in my life. That was pretty insane that we managed to succeed at that. But then in March 16th, so this is just a couple weeks later from when we introduced this games database website, and this makes me smile more than it should, right? But Emu Movies put up their 2016 front end poll, right? Hopefully I'm back, guys. Sorry for that. Let me know if I'm back. Y'all back? We're back. Good. All right. So I don't know why, but my internet connection went down. Thankfully, I have 2 internet connections. I'm out here in the boonies. I have a line of sight internet connection, and I have Starlink. So we are now on Starlink. So hopefully Starlink it treats us a little better. Sorry about that, y'all. But I'm glad we're back. All right. So we'll keep at it here. So this was I don't know when we got cut off, but ultimately this was a big deal because you can look at this poll here, this EMU Movies poll that came out in March 2016, and you'll notice that LaunchBox came out on top of Hyperspin, and this was such a huge deal for me that it really inspired me. We had 672 votes for LaunchBox and 491 votes for Hyperspin back in the day. Now, Hyperspin is amazing. I've always thought Hyperspin was amazing. That's why this mattered to me. That said, there hasn't been any significant release of Hyperspin even since then, right? So we ended up coming out on top. So that was a big deal, right? So, but anyways, I did want to mention that. Let me check the comments here. Camera's super laggy now. Can you all right. Well, let me check on something here real quick. I'm not sure if my other internet connection comes back up, then we'll be good. I don't understand why it went down. The other thing I can do is I probably have some backups running on my Starlink system. How do I pause that? There we go. Stop. Okay. Well, hopefully that will help. I don't know. As long as you guys can hear me, we should be good. Cam is fine. Okay, good. All right. So ultimately, no idea why my internet has literally not gone down for 3 months. So why during this stream did my line of sight internet decide to go down? I don't know, but at least we're back at it, y'all. Apologies for that. So we had, this raised a ton of eyebrows. Having LaunchBox beat Hyperspin or anything beat Hyperspin at this point in time was insane. And we actually got a lot of hate as well as a result from this. It started a flame war ultimately. It was very good for us, but it started a flame war. And the Hyperspin crowd was just a lot bigger than the LaunchBox crowd at this point. But it ended up that morale for LaunchBox was just a lot higher than Hyperspin because Hyperspin wasn't coming out with any releases. So ultimately, that's how we ended up winning. There was a lot more Hyperspin users, but LaunchBox users were happier because we were actually coming out with new versions. So no data cap. Yeah, I don't have a data cap. Never had a data cap on either of my connections, thankfully. But it just went down. Anyways, so another significant thing, on May 16th, 2016, we started development live streams, right? And I don't know if any of you guys were around back then. I know I've seen a couple a couple people. I think I saw NJ Dave around, and he was around for the live streams. You'll notice I had hair back then. I'm definitely very bald at this point in my life, but I'm gonna play just the first few awkward seconds of the first live stream just for fun. It's pretty awful. I'm just sitting there staring. I think this went on for like a few minutes as well. Let's get into it.
Right now on Twitch. Join us to be part of the development process.
So some of these names that you're seeing on the screen are still in the community. Watu especially, he's done a lot in the community. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right. And then you see Critical Sid here. We'll get to Critical Sid here in a little bit, but it's cool to see some names early on in the very first live stream. And it was, I mean, and some of these people have literally been around this entire time and are still there doing awesome things in the community. Just so appreciated. It's amazing. But ultimately what I started doing at this point was just live streaming the developer process. I don't know where I got the idea, but it was a great idea because it brought us a lot of support. And it helped a lot with like ideas and stuff too. So I wanted to share about that introduction. But I was streaming literally, I think it was either 2 or 3 times a week. I think it varied a little bit. And I was streaming for like 3 hours a day. And it was a lot, right? It really did help bring the community together. And it increased the morale even more for the project pretty significantly. But it also wore me out. I've always been an introvert, right? And so I was really only in front of like 50 people generally. It got up to 100 towards the end. But being in front of that many people, like 3 times a week for 3 hours a day, it was a whole lot for me. And I made some really good friends, but there were always also the trolls and the haters, right? And so it was a lot. I ended up doing that really for well over 2.5 years though, live streaming the development process. And we built up a huge community that way. And it was really cool. But in the end, I had to stop because I was just literally turning into a recluse. I was turning into a hermit. I had nothing social left for my family because it just wore me out. And I used to be this huge empath. I felt bad for people a lot and really wanted to help people on a regular basis. And I used to be the guy that all my friends would come to asking for advice and stuff like that. But it was wearing me down so much that I didn't want to be with people, and I started to lose those attributes of my personality. So I really had to quit that because it scared me. I had to stop doing the live streams so often at least because I just couldn't keep it up socially. It was just wearing me down. But I've grown a lot since September of 2016. We did the whole Retropalooza thing in Arlington, Texas. This was a big deal because it caused a lot of really cool stuff. And we built this really awesome bar top arcade for the trip. These are my kids at the ages at the time. This is my oldest, Reese, and my middle daughter, Zoe. I'm going to play just a little bit of this here. Hey guys, Jason here. Wanted to give you guys a quick update on the Bar Top Arcade. As you can see, we got LED Blinky working great. This is in big box and it's just using the default theme right now. But it's in attract mode, going through the games, and everything is working awesome. Anyways, so Monster Arcades built this cabinet for us, and they gave us a discount on it, which was really nice of them. But Rincewind is the guy that did the graphics for this arcade cabinet, and I can't thank him enough because they're so gorgeous. I'm not sure if I showed off the side of the cabinet at all, but this cabinet was so beautiful, and it's still out there. It still is, I suppose. But huge thanks to Rincewind on that. Anyways, let's see. So Monster Arcades did a killer job on that cabinet, and I think they're still around. They're ramping back up. They took a break because of the pandemic, I think, but they're doing much better now. So if you guys are interested in a cabinet builder, I do recommend Monster Arcades. But anyways, we took this bar top arcade to Retropalooza in Arlington, Texas, and it was really an immensely productive trip. We made some big waves, especially in the YouTube scene, the YouTube retro gaming scene. And I'm gonna play a video for you here of that. Oh, this was the vlog.
Hey guys, Jason here. It's Thursday morning and my wife is laughing at me. Thursday morning, it's like 9 o'clock. We finally are ready to go here. And we're leaving for Retropalooza. So yeah, we got a 24-hour drive ahead of us. We're gonna do 12 hours today and 12 hours tomorrow. And we're gonna try and vlog most of this trip for you guys. Obviously you can see, maybe you can see the cabinet in there. And a bunch of other crap. This car is pretty much chock.
Anyways, that's enough of that. But we started the trip. We went to Retropalooza. I didn't really know what I was doing vlogging like this, but I vlogged just a few videos, first time in my life, and let's just say we didn't continue the video vlogs. I have no regrets on that one. So, but anyways, it was a really cool trip, and we ended up giving the cabinet away, which was a really big surprise to the community. It was kind of heartbreaking because I loved that cabinet so much, but it really was the right decision for the company. I'm going to play a quick video of that here. So that is Billy from the Game Chasers. I know some of you guys know the Game Chasers. Some of you guys probably have no idea who they are, but they were they're big YouTubers in the retro gaming scene, and we ended up giving the cabinet to Billy, and it ended up being in like 100 videos on the Game Chasers channel, which was huge for us. And Billy was super grateful, and that was a really awesome friendship that started as a result. So it was pretty neat that we got the opportunity to do that at the convention. That said, we actually made a lot of people mad when we gave that cabinet away because we kind of, it was a community project with Rincewind's graphics. And thankfully we didn't make Rincewind mad. He was great about it. He was fully in support of it, and he was just great. He's such a great guy. But we did make a lot of people mad by giving the cabinet away. And I was upset about it a little bit too, because I to this day I still miss that cabinet. But anyways, we ultimately just got all kinds of publicity from. Dang it! Is the stream freeze? Okay, give me a second, y'all. I need to not live out in the boonies. That's the problem. My other connection is still, oh man. Are we back? I hope we're back. Connection for some reason, and I really don't know why. So we're stuck here on Starlink. I hope we can continue. That's how game chasing goes. That's right. So if we do have trouble here, guys, this will be up on YouTube. I can promise that, and you'll be able to watch the rest of it if we do have issues. But yeah, let me know where we're at. Let me know if you guys are able to watch the stream. Make a new cabinet. I did make a cabinet. There's a video, a tour video and a cabinet a cabinet video and a forum post and all that. I made a cabinet here recently. I actually built it myself. Not as bad as before. All right. I'm sorry about this, guys. I don't know what to do. Next time, maybe I'll go stream somewhere else. We are out. I've got some land out in the boonies, and I love being out here, but it can be an issue. So my apologies for that. I don't understand why we're going down again, man. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to be right back. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to go try and reset my my modem for my my other connection to see if we can get that one back. Give me 1 minute. All right, guys. Apologies. We'll see if I can get my connection back here. Retro gaming is the future. Thank you, Grace. Or Gray Swan. All right. So I still don't have my second connection, but I talked to my family and had them stop using like any streaming anything. So we'll see if that helps. You guys let me know where we're at, how we're doing. No more buffering. All right. Cool. All right. You know what? I'm going to pray. Father God Almighty, thank you for the opportunity to do this stream. I pray that you would help it to go smoothly. I pray that you would help this connection to stay stable. Get us back up and running here so we don't have to keep dealing with this crap. Father God, help this stream to just to go smoothly from here on out. And I pray that people would bear with me. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, look, amen. Absolutely. So here we go. Back to where we're at. We're at Retropalooza. Let me pull up my notes once again after all that. And that took off. The Game Chasers puts that cabinet in like 100 videos, and we blew up again. Huge deal. Really awesome. And then on November 3rd of 2016, here we are with Critical Sid. Critical Sid released the first version of the Critical Zone theme. Now, this Critical Zone theme is just madly incredible compared to anything else that we had at that point. It was just beautiful. We had video backgrounds. We had a whole bunch of new views. Just really, really awesome stuff. And as you guys know, eventually the Critical Zone theme ended up being included by default in Big Box. So it came with it, and it was the first theme to come with it. Before we had the theme creator or not the theme creator. The theme creator is another thing. We'll get into that. But before we had the themes manager to automatically download themes and all that kind of stuff, this was the only thing we actually included in the app other than the default theme. But just such a blessing when this came out. Critical Sid has been very, very good to us over the years. So I wanted to really thank him for his contributions. He's always been a volunteer, and he's been such a wonderful, just breath of fresh air, humanity-wise, as well as just he's got huge talent, and he really helped to grow the project. So I wanted to share about that. And then we get into, once again, we get into another big thing of drama, right? So the drama, this was, I don't want to say this was the biggest drama, but it was up there. It was a big deal to me because I felt like I was doing something wrong for the first time, right? So December 14th, 2016, this Reddit post came out and really threw us under the bus. So a guy named Mudlord, what a name, right? Mudlord, throwing mud. He called us out on Reddit for violating open source licenses. It says, LaunchBox violates the GPL, the CPOL, and the Apache license. Now that was a lie, okay? There was a little bit of truth in there, just a tiny bit. You can read my comments here. Hello everyone, after discussion with Mudlord and reviewing all the licenses in detail, we are in compliance with everything except for AutoHotkey. Unfortunately, we made the mistake of reintegrating AutoHotkey without re-examining the license a while back. Anyways, it gets into what actually we did wrong on accident, and what we didn't do wrong, what we did, what we were being, what was a lie, right? And I ended up coming up with these license details to explain all the licensing of everything we were using at the time and all that kind of stuff. But this was really upsetting to me because I didn't know what to expect, and I'd never been in legal trouble at all, really, at this point in my life. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it might kill the project, so I had a ton of fear, right? Now, I had previously done some research on open source licenses, and so I knew some of the details, but there was just so much to keep track of, and it was so easy to make mistakes at that point because there's just so much. And Mudlord, he just really threw us under the bus, right? He made every effort to throw us under the bus, and he reported a whole bunch of inaccurate junk that wasn't even remotely true. He made assumptions that were just completely false, and the worst part about it was that there was one tiny little thing that was true in this sea of lies, right? So we were dealing with a situation where the vast majority of his claims were false, but one small part of it was true. So I felt like I had lost all credibility, right? Because I couldn't come in and say, oh, it's all a bunch of lies, because it wasn't, because there was one small part that was true, and yet, so I felt I lost all credibility, despite the fact that the vast majority of it was false. So there's all this false information. I felt like I couldn't fight it. I felt like we weren't trustworthy anymore because we made this mistake. And ultimately what it came down to is that we were improperly using the AutoHotkey license. We were perfectly fine using AutoHotkey, and we still use AutoHotkey, but we weren't allowed to reference the DLL. We could only legally use the EXE, which honestly is a really stupid aspect of the general public licenses. It's just incredibly dumb. I don't know who came up with that or what their reasoning is, but it's really dumb because in this case especially, it makes zero difference to the functionality of anything. It's just this technicality that makes all the difference as far as whether the license is legal or not. We were previously using the EXE, so we were previously like legal, and then at one point I went to fix a bug or something, and I ended up switching it over to use the DLL, and I didn't realize, and that's what caused pretty much all of this. But I just ended up apologizing to everybody. I tried to do the best job I could explaining what we did wrong and what we didn't do wrong. And there we go. Okay, I lost connection again for a second. Hopefully you guys are still here. I'm sorry about all this. I'm still trying to get reconnected to the other connection too. But anyways, hopefully we're good. Anyways, we're back, everyone. We're back. Yeah. So MJR did this video, and we blew up once again, right? It was a big deal. It was a big deal. We blew up. This video got, looks like 369,000 views. And we made this connection because of Retropalooza again, which was really pretty cool. And actually, we still have a good relationship with Jason here. My name is Jason, but his name is also Jason. So that was cool. And then, it was a big boost for us. It wasn't double like what Simply Austin had because we were a lot bigger at this point, but it was still a huge boost. And then little bit later that month in 2017, I don't know if you guys remember Grilla and all the work that he's done, but Grilla came out with some incredible themes. I'm going to pull up some of these themes to show off some of his work, because these were a huge big deal at the time. Let me we'll go through some of them. My favorite theme, Grilla was one of the first theme developers other than Critical Sid to really dive in and do some amazing work here. But you can look at this Comics Box theme, and you can tell immediately how much love went into these themes and how big of a deal they were. They were huge. Just incredible. This was an incredible theme. It even has a really neat little animation that goes in between the views. So to this day, this is one of my favorite themes. But we also had Big Force, which was really cool. We had Translucent. We had Fundamental. Fundamental was a big one for a lot of people. And we had Classic Mini. So when these themes came out, it was a big deal for us because we didn't have a whole lot of really special, unique, cool themes like this. So it was pretty neat to get another theme developer in there making some huge waves. And then, of course, also in 2017, Farron released his first theme called Retro Fresh. So that was really awesome as well. Yeah, there we go. So we had some really cool theming going on in 2017. It really started to take off, and that made a big deal. That made the difference really for all of Big Box. Ultimately, was the theming, and really it was Critical Sid that inspired all these people to come on board, because he came forward with the theme that really showed what Big Box could do. So that was neat. Come such a long ways. Yes, we have. So then on January 20th, 2017, so we're still in January 2017, but we hired Wood Hawker to make LaunchBox videos. Wood's a great guy. He's awesome. He's got a Nintendo YouTube channel, and it's blown up. Like, he's huge now. We had the opportunity to work with him back when he was, he was a little guy on YouTube. But Wood Hawker started making a bunch of our YouTube videos. So if you're interested in that, there's a bunch of Wood Hawker YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. So I did want to mention that. And then in March of 2017, I know you guys have already mentioned ETA Prime in the chat a lot. But ETA Prime came out with his first LaunchBox tutorial video on our channel. And we actually, so ETA Prime was coming out with tutorial videos on his own channel for a little while, and we got a hold of, we found those videos, and we noticed how awesome they were, and so we reached out to him and asked if he'd be interested in making videos on our own channel, and it was just it was perfect because he was really interested, and to this day he's still doing awesome videos for us, and he's got a much bigger channel now as well, which is wonderful. But so he's been an official member of our team for a long time now, and he just does such a good job with all the tutorial videos, with the news videos. So that's been a huge blessing. I'm going to go ahead and play the beginning of this one.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime. This week, I'm going to be covering the LaunchBox tutorial. So today, on Unbroken Studio Software Tutorials, we're going to be covering Super Nintendo. A few other SNES...
You can probably tell how ETA has changed a little bit over the years, too, so that's kind of cool. Although he's stayed more the same than I have, for sure. But, yeah, that's been just a tremendous blessing to have him on the team. And I know you guys love him probably just as much as I do. So, anyways, let's keep going. March 11th, 2017, a lot happened in the first half of 2017, I'll tell you that. We got featured in a Game Ranks video. And you wouldn't think that would be a big deal, but this is the video. And if you look, it's got 6 million views on this video. And the very first product that they covered was LaunchBox.
Number 10 is LaunchBox, which is by far the best launcher for playing any possible kind of game on your PC. Now, especially for people who have their PCs hooked up to a television, this is really legitimately the best way. It's compatible with a ton of emulators, organizes everything thanks to a big crowdsourced library built by an incredibly active community, and on top of that even provides instruction manuals for your emulated games. At least all the ones that Emu Movies covers. Like I said, it's not just emulation oriented, it also supports your Steam library. There's other launchers out there like GameRoom.me, which is also a good one if you're looking for something that supports Steam Origin.
So that's enough of that. But when Game Ranks called us out like this, this is another event that probably doubled us. You can imagine 6 million views, and our audience at that time, our entire audience was certainly probably less than, it was probably over 10,000 people, but probably not very much over 10,000 people, right? And so when you get 6 million views like that, and your entire audience is only like 10,000, it blows you up real quick. And so I'm pretty sure that this at least doubled our community. So it was a huge, huge win for us. And it was organic coverage, right? We didn't pay anybody anything. They didn't reach out to us. They just decided to cover us, and it was a huge, huge win. I hope I'm still live here. Yeah, okay, good. So anyways, that happened, right? And where are we at? It was a little bit of a stressful time because we did go down. Like we got, what's it called? The dig effect, the slash dot effect, whatever you want to call it. It did take our website down when we first had it, but we got it back up real quick. We ended up putting our downloads up on Amazon S3, which saved everything, and we were only down for like an hour or two. But you can imagine that was pretty stressful because here we were blowing up, got the best traffic ever, and we ended up having some downtime as a result of that. But really, I mean, that's all ultimately a huge win. So, but it was a good thing to learn, to know that we need to be prepared for situations like that, for events like that, unlike me here with my internet connection. But anyways, and then August 22nd, 2017, maybe this wasn't the first release of the City Hunter theme. I'm not sure if I got this date wrong, because you'll notice the City Hunter theme was in that Game Ranks video, which came out a little earlier. So I think maybe a new version of the theme came out or something. But the City Hunter theme, it was based on Critical Sid's Critical Zone, but it was just soaked in style. It was so cool. It's still so cool. It's still out there and available, and I love this theme. He goes by Logical Ego now, but he was going by Keltoy Gale when this first came out. But that was another huge theme. And then we get into probably the biggest drama here, guys. So I hope that we don't run into any more connection issues. We'll see. But we got hit pretty hard with an interesting situation with a hard drive seller. and I'm sure some of you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when I bring that up. But a guy named Christopher Shaw decided that he was going to flip out on us and threaten all these things, and ultimately we ended up having this PM on the forums, and this turned into a big ugly mess, and I was the problem, probably more so than anybody. I was the problem here, but this turned into a huge mess. Now, Chris Shaw is one of those hard drive sellers that basically just steals everybody's work, and he puts it on a hard drive and he sells it to folks. He sells it to folks that don't want to bother tinkering, that don't want to bother like collecting things or any of that, worrying about the media. And he sells these hard drives for just stupid amounts of money, like $500, $1,000. I mean, I've even seen $2,000 hard drives out there. I don't know if that's him or not, but it's just ridiculous because these drives cost a ridiculous amount of money, and really what they are is just a LaunchBox collection. And he ultimately, he steals from every game manufacturer, game developer ever. He steals from all the media people. He steals from the front end people. He steals from everybody in the community, and he's not the only one that does this, but that's ultimately who we're dealing with here. It's just a bunch of illegal content on a hard drive that you spend a bunch of money for, and yet guys like Chris Shaw and some other guys too, literally I know that they're making over $500,000 a year selling this stuff. So I want you guys to know that these hard drive sellers are literally making $500,000 a year doing this stuff illegally, and no one is doing anything about it. Now, I'm not asking anybody to do anything about it. I just want you guys to know, this is where it's coming from. This is what's going on in this situation. I know for a fact that these people are making $500,000 a year because some of these guys have shared that with me. So it's a lot, right? It's a big business. So that's the background, right? Christopher Shaw's, he's stealing from us. He's just handing away our licenses and taking money and giving people licenses, basically. So he's profiting off of all this stuff, which is really kind of awful. Sorry about these notifications. I wonder if I can close that out here. Maybe I can go on priority only. Okay, so that's what's going on. We get into a PM with this guy, and he ends up basically getting really mad at us for trying to take down his YouTube channel. So basically the LaunchBox community was getting really mad at him for doing all this stuff, and they for a while there they would do anything they could to knock him down. I wasn't really involved in this stuff. The only thing I had done was told him that no, we weren't going to work with him and allow him to to pay for licenses and distribute them to his audiences, because it was illegal stuff, right? And we didn't want to have anything to do with that. So ultimately, we told him we wouldn't work with him, and then the community was going in and doing all kinds of stuff to kind of bring him down, like ban his YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. So he got pretty mad. He got real mad. And it wasn't just the LaunchBox community, it was also the Hyperspin community doing this. So pretty much everybody, especially the content creators, we just wanted this guy gone, and we're going to do anything they could to really knock him down. So naturally he got really, really angry, and he reached out. He didn't care about doing illegal and immoral stuff, and he was just really angry at us, and he ended up taking it out on me in some private messages. He started threatening me with all kinds of terrible things. Stuff like he's going to destroy us by giving all our products away for free. He was going to build a website to compete with us and beat us out with the SEO. He claimed he was going to steal our product and make money off of it. And the thing is, I should have just laughed it off. I really should have just laughed it off. Because I should have known that he had very little power, right? And there's really not much that he could truly do to hurt the project at this point. We were getting pretty big. There was really nothing he could have done. But I didn't understand that, and I was living out of fear at this point, right? And even though he's basically still stealing our stuff and selling it, it's just not enough to make it worth any retaliation on our part. It really makes no difference to us. I mean, it might be the difference of, $75 a week, which to us right now with 5 employees, it's really, it doesn't make any difference, right? So it really doesn't matter to us at all. But my thought process at the time was just full of fear. And I mean, you could probably see a repeating pattern there. I had a lot of issues with fear in my past. But I was terrified. I was terrified that the project was just going to be ruined. I was terrified that this hateful person was just going to come show up my house and do something stupid. I've got a family. My address was public at the time. So all these things were adding up in my head, and I didn't know what to do. And so ultimately I made a threat. I made a threat to Chris Shaw that I would email the entire conversation, including all of his threats, all of his hate, to the entire community. And that was, honestly, guys, the biggest mistake that I ever made with this whole project. Just to be completely real and honest with you guys, that was the worst thing I ever did with this project. And arguably with my entire life. Because I emailed this stupid, petty, hateful conversation to 250,000 people. 250,000 people I emailed this to, right? So I called him out. I tried to take revenge. I asked everyone to report him to Facebook and YouTube. And I made this major decision and dragged the entire community into this drama over something that really didn't matter in the slightest. That was rough. Worse, you guys know about my faith, right? Emails. We put it on the games database website. We put it in the about screens of the apps. And I know that a huge part of the purpose of this project is, and my personal purpose, right, is to share about the love of Jesus. That is one of my main goals, and it's probably my biggest goal in life, right? And the love of Jesus, guys, the love of Jesus does not take revenge, right? It doesn't judge. It's not prideful. It's full of hope. It doesn't fear. And it certainly doesn't lash out when somebody tries to attack. And so I regretted sending that email out really quickly. I felt like I had failed the entire community. I felt like I'd thrown myself under the bus. I felt like I had completely let down my creator. So it put me in a state of depression, back into that depression thing again. Really, I was there for months. I had basically aired my dirty laundry, literally, in front of 250,000 people. And I felt like I just completely destroyed the entire purpose of the project. So I was a huge ball of stress. The feedback that I received from doing that was literally just all over the place. I got all kinds of people supporting me in any way they could, but also, and all kinds of people were really great reaching out with positive things to say, even though most of them knew it wasn't right. But also, we got a ton of hate for sending that email out, and probably rightly so. And this wasn't the first time we were getting any hate, but I mean, we were getting responses like "die in a fire." I mean, And it was hard, right? And I don't blame folks for that, because it was literally the biggest mistake of my life. Not because it was that awful, but because I did it in front of 250,000 people, y'all. I did it in front of 250,000 people. So it was hard. It was really not easy. So I wanted to share about that. I've never had the chance in recent times to really share my thoughts on that situation. Because I think this was what, 2017, 2018? Yeah, this was 2017, the very end of 2017. And I never really got a chance to share the details, how I felt about that situation after the fact. Because I really do believe that was one of the biggest mistakes in my life, or the biggest mistake in my life. But I was talking about pride previously in this stream. This all happened because I let the success of LaunchBox really go to my head, right? And so when somebody started attacking me and attacking the project, I let that pride make the decision as far as how to respond to it. And it was really ugly, really ugly. So this taught me a super important lesson in my life, really in leadership in general, and that is humility, right? Humility comes from the Lord. It's what brings success. And pride really only gets in the way of that. I want you guys to know that I haven't always been a good person. I've done some pretty awful things in my life. And the only thing that was really able to rescue me from that was faith in Jesus. Now, you guys know, I hope you know, I'm still far from perfect. But every day I am getting closer and closer to goodness. And every day I'm getting better and better at loving people. Every day I'm seeing the Lord move more and more and more in my life and in the lives of the people around me. But this project literally wouldn't exist without the Lord. He forgives me for all this awful stuff I've done in my past. He loves me through it, and he changes me, right? He grows me. Now, I know that some of you guys are probably thinking, oh, big whoop, right? You sent out a revenge email. How awful. What a spoiled life you've lived. And I have been spoiled. I've also done some really terrible things. I've been rescued from a lot of terrible behavior. So when I talk about the things the Lord has rescued me from, I want you guys to know that this isn't something that is just a stupid email. It's just, that's the only thing that really applies to the business. But I've done some pretty awful things. For example, there was a point in my life where I committed adultery. I don't like sharing that, but I think it's important that I do, because I want you all to know that this is significant here, right? It's the Lord's work in my life was not insignificant. I was cheating on my wife for a long period of time, and the Lord saved my marriage. And that's just an example of some of the things that I've made, some mistakes I've made over the years. Thankfully, I didn't do that in front of 250,000 people, but I still did it, and it still made a huge, huge, huge difference in my life for the worse. But my wife didn't get angry with me and run away from me. She stayed with me, and she loved me through it. And it was all because of the Lord's direction in her life that she did that. And now, at this point in my life, I've got the most beautiful marriage in the world. It's incredible. We're both very content. So I just wanted to share that so that you guys know that, like, I'm not this guy that's been a goody two shoes my whole life. I really screwed a lot of things up. I've also had some trouble with the law. I'm not going to get into that. I did some things in my youth that were pretty awful and just grotesque. But the Lord has taken that shame. He's conquered it. He's turned it into important lessons in my life. And I don't struggle with that stuff anymore, which is a huge, huge blessing. So that's the story of my life. I know I'm getting into things that aren't very LaunchBoxy at this point. But I do feel like that's important here. In order to understand the full story of LaunchBox, you got to understand how the Lord has worked in my life, because this project wouldn't exist to the extent that it does, really in any way, shape, or form, without His work, right? So I hope you guys are all still there. Yeah, I think on and off again. Here we go. Okay. Well, what can I do? Connecting. All right. Anyways, I'm just going to keep going because I think that's all I can do here, guys. I'm sorry about the stream. Let me get this up. God gives His toughest tasks to His strongest soldiers. Amen. I do watch The Chosen. I haven't seen all of it. But it was excellent. Although there are some things that bother me about it, I'll be honest. But it is a great show. Anyways, I wanna emphasize that you guys know that at this point in my life, you know that I've been a complete wreck, right? And you might still think I am, and I don't really care. I don't. That doesn't bother me. But I want to share how none of this success would have been possible without God's work in this project and in my life. Now, if you need proof that God exists and that He loves you, all you got to do is ask Him, right? That's it. That's all you got to do is ask Him, because time and time and time again, I've seen Him conquer so many things in my life and in the lives of people around me. And all you got to do, literally all you got to do, is close your eyes, tell Jesus that you need Him, that you want His help in your life, that you're asking forgiveness for all the bad things you've done, and that you want His help. That's it. And I promise you it'll change your life. So let me step off my soapbox. But y'all, if you're struggling, that's the answer. I'm telling you. Now, if you need help with that, if you need support, if you want more information, whatever, you can always email me. I look at all of my email, all of it. And my email is jason@unbrokensoftware.com. Okay? So if you need help with any of that, email me and I'll help you out. My main purpose here on this earth, even more so than LaunchBox, is to share the love of Jesus. And I don't always do a good job of that, but nothing makes me happier than when I do, right? So if you want to give your life to Jesus, send me an email. And I would love to help you with that. I really, really would. But let's continue in the celebration, guys. I hope the internet doesn't go down anymore. But we're through all the major drama. The drama's basically over. And the project has really only taken off ever since all that stuff went down. So we're going to go to a more positive note regarding the LaunchBox side of things. And we've also got that huge giveaway. We're actually pretty close to the end. I want to go through a few more cool things, but there's not a ton to talk about. So we'll keep going here. January 27th, 2018, Farron released the first version of the Coverbox theme. And this was such a big deal. Just an awesome, gorgeous theme. And it's different for every platform because it matches the game boxes, and it's really neat in that regard. And then on April 1st of 2018, we got Critical Sid. Critical Sid released the Unified theme. And I know a lot of people, myself included, still use this theme. I use this theme, and I use some other themes as well on different machines. But this is one of my favorite themes. And this was actually largely it was based off of Hyperspin, but what a great theme. And Critical Sid put in a ton of work on this theme, especially to record the Hyperspin like animations and videos and all that kind of stuff. So a very, very cool, amazing theme that definitely changed the game for us. Then we've got Grilla releasing the first LaunchBox theme, not Big Box, but LaunchBox theme that really made a big change, made a big difference. And this was the LB Plex theme that he released on September 5th, 2018. Maybe, if it will load here. There it is. So, big deal. This theme was really cool. I know a lot of people have used this theme for a long, long time. But this is the LaunchBox interface, not Big Box. All right. And then, of course, on August 23rd, 2019, we had the first beta of LaunchBox for Android being released. And it took off pretty significantly when we first released it to the Play Store. We got over 5,000 users on LaunchBox for Android really quickly. And it ended up topping the list of gaming apps on the Play Store for really, I think it was over a week, if I remember correctly. So it was very promising. And we've had somewhat of a rocky past with the Android app, as you guys know. We'll get into that a little bit. But ultimately, it's been a huge blessing, hopefully for everybody. And then another big turning point, October 30th, 2019, we hired Seabeats. Now, I know him as Christian, but we hired Seabeats, and this was the email that we put out at the time. We said, we are now Legion almost. We've hired Seabeats as a second full-time developer. Going forward, both Jason and Seabeats will be pumping out new versions for us. So I had moved to LaunchBox for Android development, and Seabeats was primarily on the Windows development at this point. And that was a big, big deal for us. So, in that decision, we struggled to find the right person for that position. But what a good decision it was. Because hiring people is hard. It's really hard to find the right person. So, and it feels impossible. And we really haven't had a 100% success rate in our hires, as some of you guys know. So it's a huge blessing that this worked out so well. He's got unique talent that I've never had. And we've worked really well together over the years because our different talents have really complemented each other really well. For example, for the 3D boxes, when he built the 3D boxes, he brought all kinds of gaming experience to that I couldn't have done myself. He had a lot of game development experience that's really helped us in a lot of ways. And I'm pretty sure we couldn't have done the whole 3D boxes thing, at least to the extent that we have, without him being on board. So he's been a big blessing to the team. And then I saw somebody in the chat mention the colorful theme. And then, so here we are. On September 9th, 2019, Viking came out with the colorful theme. So that's a huge, huge win. It's such a beautiful theme. This was one of the first themes to come out to really be simple and beautiful at the same time. Because a lot of our themes previously had been very, data heavy. But man, this theme is really, really gorgeous. So if you haven't seen this theme in action, go watch a YouTube video or, give it a shot. It's a great theme to this day, and he's still updating it. And then we get into the LaunchBox for Android shutdown on Google Play in 2020, and that was annoying. But ultimately, what happened? We ended up having to take the LaunchBox for Android off of the Play Store because of all of these complications that just drove us nuts. But I do want to note that instead of freaking out and being full of fear in this process, like I had been in previous situations, this was a relatively smooth situation to go through, thankfully. We ended up, it wasn't our proudest moment because we ended up having to pull it from the Play Store. But ultimately what ended up happening was that the Play Store just kept screwing us over, the Google Play Store, just over and over and over again. And I feel bad for developers on the Play Store because it's been just like a minefield for everybody on the Play Store. We had to kill it because the income wasn't very good. The development efforts were high. The software restrictions on the Google Play Store were terrible. And everything was just constantly getting worse. So ultimately, so ultimately we figured out that in order to get around the Google Play stuff, we just weren't going to release on Google Play. So we released everything ourselves. We realized that RetroArch, in order to get the best version of that anyways, so the best emulator on RetroArch was RetroArch, and in order to get the best version of RetroArch, you had to sideload anyways. So we were like, well, why don't we just sideload LaunchBox? We ran with that, and that was great. Everything worked out really, really well, and here we are with a product that is doing well, that doesn't have the serious issues that we had before. We did still have some issues that we had to work through, and we're still dealing with some issues on Android because Android is still a difficult platform because of all the constant changes. But ultimately, it was the right decision to get back into it. And it's come such a long way since, and part of the biggest reason why we've been able to take it where we've taken it is because we hired Farron. Because he was able to work on themes for us and do some pretty cool stuff, not only on the desktop but also for Android. So, and then some quick history. LaunchBox 12.2 came out on November 18th of 2021, and that automatically installed and configured RetroArch. That was a huge hit. We had 12.7 coming out on February 1st, 2022, and that automatically installed MAME as well. Another huge hit. We got the new default theme for Big Box out in August of 2022. We did the 3D box models on November 16th of 2022. And then finally, we just released the new LaunchBox default theme, right? On July 24th. So that's pretty much the history. I know that was long, guys. I know that was huge, hugely long. So thanks for sticking with me. Now, I'm amazed to say at this point that we are still going strong, really stronger than ever. We're 10 years into this product, and what a blessing that is. And we owe that to you guys. So thank you. It's really quite rare for a software product like LaunchBox to stick around for this long and keep getting updates and keep doing well. Now, usually things come along and end up replacing apps like this, or it stagnates or it gets sold to somebody who ends up killing it. We've seen that a lot. And we've had multiple interested parties over the years. So you guys know, we have had multiple offers to try and do things like buy us out, merge with us, just ramrod us, use us for their hardware platforms, all that kind of stuff. But the Lord has really called us to remain independent, right? And that's been a tremendous blessing. Every time we've tried to do anything but remain independent, we've been shot down, like the Play Store, for example. But we owe all the success to you guys, and I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. We're all grateful. I know that LaunchBox at this point, like I said, is really only 1% my idea. The rest of it is you guys' ideas. And I'm so grateful for that. And that's the truth, We've got so many amazing ideas from the community, and they're still coming in. And we really couldn't do any of this without A, the ideas, and without B, without the purchases from you guys and the support. So thank you for that. And we really want to give back to you guys. So we are today, we're giving away, well, let me explain more details, but we are giving away 1,000 licenses okay? We're going to be giving away 500 forever licenses to LaunchBox Premium on Windows and 500 forever licenses to LaunchBox for Android. All right? We really want to be generous here. We want to be generous because of the love that we have for you guys. And I want you to know that that love comes from Jesus. All right? I don't say that to make people angry, and I know it's gonna. I don't say that to build up my pride. I say that because it's the truth. And I want everybody here to experience the love of Jesus more than I want people to use LaunchBox. All right? So important. Now, there's one last thing that I want to do before we get into the giveaway details. I want you guys to know that every time I publicly talk about Jesus with the business, and no, this isn't the first time I've done that. I've done that a lot. I used to do live streams, as you know, and I used to pray in those live streams every single day, every single time, right? But I always get a little bit of pushback when I talk about Jesus. And I've heard everything over the years. I've heard, eek, he's edge posting from a business account. And I'm only going to give you my money if you remove the scripture from the app. All kinds of stuff like that. I've heard it all, right? But every single time that I step out in faith like this to share the love of Christ with this community, the love of Jesus, whatever way it is, we get blessed, guys. We get blessed. All right? Every time we've ever done a giveaway or added scripture somewhere or talked about Jesus, sales have always gone up. That's the truth. That's always been the way that it has worked. So I want you guys to know that. I want you to think about that, because that's not honestly why we do it, but every time we do, our sales go up. And they go up because the Lord blesses us for being obedient to him. Okay? The success that we have comes from the Lord. There's always a correlation there. Always. So if you're sitting there thinking that this is going to kill the project because we're talking about Jesus, we're edge posting, you're very off from the truth. We hear that a lot. We do. But the fact of the matter is that things only get better when we do that. So that's a big deal. So let's give away some licenses here. So you guys can sign up to receive a license. Let me grab the link. Hopefully Brian is around and he can share that link here in the chat. Let me pull that up. Let me pull up the link to the license, or to the giveaway. Give me just a second. Oh, I've got it right here. Good. All right. So I'm going to pull this up, and actually what I'm going to do is show it on the stream if I can. So you guys can see it. I'm going to change my window capture to Notepad. There you go. So there is the link to the giveaway. I can share it in the chat, but it's going to go by really quick. So I don't know how well that's going to work, but I'll go ahead and do that so that you guys have it. If I can. I don't know that I can. I don't have the chat open. Well, darn it. There it is. Brian shared it. So there's the link to the giveaway. Now that giveaway, I want to talk about that a little bit. Our objective this time around, so previously with a lot of the giveaways, we have really tried to spread it far and wide. That's not our objective this time, okay? Our objective with the giveaway is to bless you guys, to bless the people that are here, the guys and girls, the people that are here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to give away half of the licenses tomorrow, so that only people who have viewed the video today have a chance at that first half of the licenses. And then we're going to wait a week and we'll do the last half of the licenses after that. I will say that if you already have the licenses that you need, don't enter, don't bother, because that'll make a lot easier on us if we don't have to filter those out. We're going to give away the licenses to people that don't have a license as a priority, or we're going to try to, right? We're going to randomize it, but we're also going to randomize the first half of the licenses from people who watched the video today and enter today. And then if you watch it on YouTube later, you'll be able to still be in for the second half of the licenses, but also you guys that are watching already early will also be in for that second batch of 500 licenses. So that's the situation with the giveaway, just so you guys know. Believe it or not, this is not the first time that we've given away 1,000 licenses. We've done that a lot of times in the past. We're trying to be generous. I don't know about a lot of times. We've probably given away 1,000 licenses maybe 3 times. We're trying to be generous because we love you guys, you know. So that's the situation. I mean, thank you guys. Thank you very much for sticking with me through the whole stream, through the ups and downs of the internet and everything else. Thank you for all your support over the years. Blessings, you know. Blessings go out to everybody in this community. I'm so grateful for you guys. So I will say that it's been a long stream. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to last, but I'll stick around to talk for a little bit here, so long as our internet holds up without too much trouble. So I'm going to watch the comments for a bit. Thank you, Jim. I pray that we are back here for the 20th. If you have an expired license, you can go ahead and enter the giveaway. Absolutely. We are going to make sure that the licenses that you get are not a repeat of a license that you already have. So if you do have a Windows license, for example, and you want an Android license, you can certainly enter, and we'll make sure that you end up with an Android license and not a Windows license. I have a back-end system that will do that automatically for me. So we'll make sure that we're not giving away Windows licenses to folks with Windows licenses already, and same for Android. Thank you, guys. Junie, I'd love to help you get it on your new computer too. Well, we are moving quick. I'm trying to keep up here on these comments. Thank you, Fabio. Hopefully I'm reading that right. Nope, you won't be excluded, Gumby. Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure to be here and walk through this with you guys. I hope that you caught enough of it, considering the downtime issues or the internet issues that we had. Do you need to re-enter for the second batch? Nope. Thank you, Tom. Where can you buy a LaunchBox baseball cap? Nowhere right now. We need to do that. We tried doing merch back in the day, and nobody bought any of it. So we might try merch here again. We've probably grown. We're probably 3 times as big as the last time we tried merch. So it's probably worth it. I'm seeing so much love and support from you guys, man. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you guys individually, but man, it's so good to see, so good to hear, and I'm grateful. Thank you all. Cheers, Delta. Hope one day to see it on Steam Deck. Me too. Me too. Light gun support integration with Sinden. It actually works really well already. I know we could integrate it more, but if you use the beta version of the Sinden software, it works great. I use that on my cab. And there's not a whole lot that's needed. You can start it up automatically in the big box startup apps. That was one of the reasons why we added that feature for the Sinden support. Thank you, Machine Oreo. I figured maybe that's a reference to Factorio. I don't know. I love that game, by the way. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate that. Have I tried partnering with arcades? No. One of the issues that we have in doing something like that is nobody has licenses to the games. Thanks, Brian, for reposting that giveaway link. So basically, the last thing we want to do is do anything, shady. And one thing that grinds my gears is any kind of business model that takes old games that aren't licensed and makes money off of them. I don't like that. I find that bad because it's illegal and it's immoral. And so partnering with arcades is hard because and arcades don't even know it, but if you buy one of those 101 boards from China or an arcade machine from China that has one of them in it, it's stolen. Like nobody's making, none of the original developers are making any money off of that. And it's literally being sold illegally just in China. So the arcade scene is hard. It's really, really hard for a lot of those reasons. Sounds like ETA Prime needs to do a light gun video. Absolutely. Thank you, Rob Belcher. Thank you, Jason Tran. I appreciate it, my friend. I'm glad I shared it too. Linux. I did mention a few things. So ultimately, we have an interesting opportunity that we don't know if it's going to flesh out or not regarding Linux development. But our biggest challenge on Linux is just development tools. There's not good development tools for Linux, at least comparatively to Windows. And we're on .NET right now. So that might clue you into, and WPF, that might clue you into the opportunities out there and what isn't available. But we are looking into that. Thank you, War Shroud. I hear you, Nicholas. Okay, clear logo support for second monitor. We have that to some extent. So I'm not sure what exactly you mean there, but you might want to put in a Bitbucket ticket so we can fully understand that. Delta Gamer, yeah, you're quoting some of our scripture on our websites and stuff. Thank you, Raul. ETA Prime, that's right. Yep. He's been instrumental. No worries, Sam. I can't promise that you'll be able to win to give somebody a license at this point, but it's not going to be a big deal. JJ, I don't quite know what you mean there, but there are some differences between Hyperspin and LaunchBox, how they actually work with the media and the data. And we're not going to be changing that at this point, so I'm not sure if that's going to be possible, what you're looking for. Option to select which monitor to run show LaunchBox. Yeah, I probably should do some more experimentation with that, honestly. So I'll note that. Thanks, Spot Goblin. Very nice, Samurai. That's awesome to hear. Almost done building your first arcade cabinet. That's an exciting time for sure. If I win, I'm going to give it to my father. You're a good man. What is Music Box dead? All right, I'll talk about Music Box briefly here. So, Music Box Alpha is a product that we have sold for a long time. We did just reduce the price of it because we're not planning on working on it as much in the future. We are probably going to be working on it again, but it's not a main focus for us. It was a base hit. I mean, we've sold quite a few licenses of it, but it's just basically because of what it is. It's a music player, and it's an offline music player. You can't stream with it, which is how I like my music. I have my music offline. I save it locally, right? So I still use it pretty much at least once a week, more like probably 3-4 times a week, to listen to music. It's how I listen to all my music. So Music Box isn't going anywhere, but we aren't developing it to a great extent, and thus we took the price down on it. It's not dead, but it's certainly not anywhere near as alive as LaunchBox is, nor will it ever be, because it can't be, because it's not going to get the same following. Can you add loading sounds? So for example, when a game is loading, a sound file says loading game, and then once the game is loaded, it says loading complete. That's not a bad idea. That would be easy enough to do. Thank you, Rager. Thanks for being here. Super Nintendo versus Genesis. I mean, all right. One of the reasons why retro gaming is such a big deal to me, well, it's twofold. I love retro games, but I never had a console as a kid. I always had a computer. So, you guys know I started with DOS, right? And that was huge for me, but I always wanted those console games so bad. And I never had them because my parents, we played video games on the computer, and so my parents were like, yeah, there's no way we're going to buy you a console. That's silly. We're not going to buy you a console too. And my parents were not rich. They weren't poor, but they were We were not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. So we stuck with computers growing up. So I never had a Genesis or a Super Nintendo. That said, I remember when Sonic came out, watching that and just drooling. Like I couldn't believe it. So for me, Genesis versus SNES is Mario versus Sonic. And honestly, Sonic murders Mario. I feel like, at least it felt like it when I was a kid. So that's the thing. This day and age, I do enjoy Mario more than I enjoy Sonic, though. I will say that. Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't like I enjoyed Mario Sunshine too, less so, not as much as Mario 64. And then the Mario Galaxies, I loved to death. But for some reason, I can't get into the Switch Mario. I never could. I don't know why. Just don't like it all that much. But Sonic games, yeah, I have never really gotten into very many modern Sonic games. My son loves them, but I've never gotten into them. More pinball love. Yeah, so we've tried to get into pinball several times over the years. We've tried really, really hard. And I don't know. The issue is the pinball scene is a mess. Like, there's just hoops, so many hoops to jump through to get up and running with pinball. Even if we developed the perfect pinball front end, just getting the tables up and running would be a nightmare for users. It's a nightmare to create an import process. It's so much to learn. Unfortunately, and maybe it's changed since we last checked, but unfortunately, pinball is way too much of a mess for us to be able to tackle at this point, sadly. Foca, splash screen when you load a game, you mean we have startup screens? I'm not sure what you mean. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun, I'll tell you that. Yeah, unfortunately, the pinball scene is a mess. Yeah, I've seen several documentaries about the history of the console wars, Mystical. That's been a lot of fun. I definitely recommend watching that for everybody else as well. N64 first console. Yeah, well, I'm a little bit older. My first console was the 2600, and it was a little bit before my time, but it was the only console that my parents had. And so I played on it when the NES was popular. I was on the 2600. A 1,000 Steam Deck giveaway. Yeah, right. No. Thankfully we can give away LaunchBox licenses without paying for them because we own them. We can't give away Steam Decks without paying $1 million or whatever it costs. Thank you, Jax. A retro game documentary. So here's the thing, like that would be fun, but I don't have the expertise or the knowledge or the drive to do that. I've thought about being a YouTuber over the years and going through my collection and all that stuff, and you guys have seen some of that, but that's not my cup of tea, really. I love development, I love building stuff. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. Wouldn't mind receiving a ROG Ally. Yeah, you know what? I have my my ROG Ally here. So there you go. I've only got one, but we're definitely making sure that LaunchBox and Big Box work well on the ROG Ally. I'm not trying to push the ROG Ally, but it's a good product. I'll say that. It's a good product. There's going to be a ton of competition though that comes out as a result. So and LaunchBox and Big Box are going to work on pretty much all of them. So there you go. I mean, Steam Deck, yeah, okay, great. It's a good. I'm glad it exists, but I don't necessarily believe that it's going to be the big. It's going to kill all the other products and be the big one on be the big device a year or 2 or 3 from now. I think what's going to happen is the market's going to take off and everybody's going to have a different device. Is what's going to happen. So and I hope that LaunchBox and Big Box works on all of it, all of those devices. I don't know why the stream is steady all of a sudden. Don't ask me. I wonder if my internet is back. Nope. My second internet connection is still down. And it's the first time it's gone down in multiple months, and it just happened to go down during the stream. Figures. When do you know if you've won? So there's 2 opportunities to win. We're going to notify, or we're going to try and notify everyone tomorrow if they won in the first batch. Okay. The second batch, it'll be a week out, and then we'll notify everybody then. So you won't know 100% for certain if you've won until a week out, because there'll be another opportunity for you to win in a week. But the first opportunity will be tomorrow. Dennis, yeah, I know ETA has a lot of handhelds. Although right now I've got my opinion, what's the best one. So I don't need any more of them for the moment. It is awesome, though, that ETA gets a lot of handhelds from a lot of companies, because he can tell us if there's an issue with the software. Kills your neck. Yeah. I don't do long gaming on a handheld device, that's for sure. I'm always in front of the TV. If I can help it, I'm going to be in front of the TV. The only time I game on a handheld is if I'm out and about and waiting on something. Then I'll game on the handheld. But otherwise, if I'm at home, no, I'm not going to game anywhere other than either at the PC or on the in the home theater environment on my TV with a computer. I use a computer in both situations these days. I used to use Xbox a lot, but I've moved on to computer just because I'm spoiled. So good to hear, Epsilon. That's awesome, Alexis. B-Man Dev, that's pretty cool. You could certainly just put that up on the forums. What current games do I play and for what system? Well, I'm on PC almost exclusively at this point. If you're talking about modern games, I assume you're talking modern games. I love RPGs. I'm pretty normal. The Bethesda stuff. I played Hogwarts recently. I haven't. I'm looking forward to Starfield. I haven't played a lot of games recently. I've been too busy. But those are the last. Hogwarts was the last real game that I played. I also play a lot of Minecraft just socially. So play a lot of old school games though too. We have LAN parties over here. If you go watch my video on the cabinet and the game room tour or the office tour, whatever it's called, you'll see the LAN party setup that we have, and we do a lot of LAN party games. Play a lot of old RTSs, old shooters, even some racing games. Have a lot of fun regularly over here, me and my friends. So that's cool. Never tried Dave the Diver. If only LaunchBox could replicate the experience of having to aggressively blow into an NES cart. Start a game and a little splash screen video loads before games start. I've created a lot of splash screen video to the community, but can't use it in LaunchBox. Oh, so videos. Okay. All right, we could look into that. Do my kids like what I do for the gaming community? Yeah, well, my kids like video games, so naturally they use LaunchBox fairly regularly. They're proud of me. It's probably not as big of a deal to them as it is to a lot of people in the community, but they definitely support it and enjoy it. What co-op games do I play with my family? Man, I really wish there were more co-op games. The co-op games that we play are all old school because they're all old retro games because they don't make good LAN games anymore. And that sucks. But because we have a LAN party set up in our house and in the same room, so we can all enjoy each other, we play all the retro games, retro PC games. So I mean, you guys know what I mean when I talk about retro RTSs, retro FPSs, retro. But those aren't co-op, I guess. They're more LAN party. We don't play a whole lot of co-op. We play mostly versus in LAN party games. Power glove support. Oh goodness. What do I tend to drink or snack on when coding? Well, this is water. I usually drink water. I drink water and coffee almost exclusively because it's good for me. I drink like 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And that's because it just helps me to wake up and concentrate. I'm very careful not to drink more than 1 cup of caffeinated coffee because it gives me anxiety issues. Too much caffeine definitely has that effect on me personally. But other than that, I only drink water. Food-wise, man, I eat anything and everything. I eat way too much crap. But I'm not going to push anything. Beat 'em ups. Yeah, Woodhawker. Really good couch co-op games. Absolutely. Yeah. Is that Warcraft 2 or Warcraft 3? So Warcraft 3 is a favorite of ours. Doom co-op is something we still do. That is co-op. If I'm going to play retro co-op, it's going to be Doom or Quake. Pretty much. Quake 2. You got a good boyfriend, Stephanie. Descent. Yeah. Yeah, Descent is awesome. Descent is awesome, but it's a little hard for a LAN party because everybody's got to have a joystick. You can't play Descent without a joystick. At least that's my opinion. Thank you, El Sombrerito. Thank you, Hunter. Have a good night. Unreal Tournament? Yep. We definitely play a lot of Unreal Tournament. My favorite is 2004, though. Super Dark Schneider? Yeah, you've got enough for Big Box. Big Box doesn't take up any extra space. It's already there, basically. Updating some of the older LaunchBox setup videos. Yeah, we're working on it. It's a lot, though. There's a lot of videos. So we're working through it. We're trying to get a little bit more help going on that. ETA can only do so many, so we're looking at trying to get some additional YouTubers help with that. Thanks, PCM Dave. Thanks for being here from Colombia. QuakeCon's going to have a remastered Quake 2. Ooh, that's exciting. Quake 2 is one of my favorite games from my childhood. All right, guys, I think I'm going to take a break. But I love you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you all win. I don't even know how many people were in the stream. It's possible that everybody who enters for the first day is going to win a license. I don't know. It depends on how many people are in the stream and how many people watch it after the fact. But we're going to be doing that giveaway tomorrow. So there's probably pretty good odds that you guys who have been here will win. So thank you so much for being here, for listening, for enjoying the history, for your support over the years. Man, I'm just so grateful for all of you guys. So thank you very much. Y'all have a good night or good day whatever it is where you are, and we'll keep going. We'll keep building. We'll keep listening and building more and more cool stuff.